Hi, and welcome to another live Snappy chat. This is all about learning and growing together. I'm Christine Bell, and I have the wonderful Brad Younger with me today as a guest. You're going to find out more about Brad shortly, but the reason I started these conversations is that I think we can all learn from each other. I also believe that, for myself, that it can be a really lonely ride in business, especially if you're a solopreneur. But if you're building a small business and you're a founder, we actually go through many of the same challenges. So why not come together in community and collaborate? And this is what it's all about, learning and growing together. And with no further ado, welcome, Brad. I'm so happy to have you on here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Yes, this is an awesome opportunity. So hopefully we can cover some good stuff today.
I'm very excited about it. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, because you wear so many hats and you just surprise and what's the word for it? You surprise me, but I'm also in deep admiration for everything you've done. You've been a business owner for many, many years. You grew up with parents who had businesses as well. So you're already in the mindset, albeit we can all work on our mindset, right? But you also just, have sold businesses and you're creating something, a business that makes money, and you're also creating something you're really passionate about that's going to make great money too, hopefully. So tell us a bit more about yourself, please.
That's right. Yeah. So as long as I can remember, my parents ran businesses. So I think the first one I remember was they ran a fish shop. They loved fish. There's a whole bunch of other opportunities they tried out. We started reading a lot of books, probably in my mid-teens, and moved on from there. So one of the first ones of those was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's given me so many different tools in my life that I can use. So there was no surprise that at some point in time I would start running businesses, and a few different challenges in my life. Obviously, having things like dependents, like kids, etc., make things quite difficult. So there's periods in my life where I just basically had to do other things, which was fine as well. So along the way, certainly grew out a mindset of that has helped me get to where I am today. And today I'm running a cybersecurity business and another business which is building a rocket to go to space, which is probably touch on one of the notes I have to talk about today. So.
I love that. And I love that your whole mindset is amazing. So we'll definitely talk about that. I just want to say hello to Royce Blake. He's amazing. He's in the US. He's a copywriter and marketeer. Great guy. He's been on the show as well. So thank you for being here. So let's get into it, because building businesses, I didn't come from an upbringing of parents who had businesses. So they're always in a job. Yeah. And that's kind of their mindset to this day, is why would you work for yourself when you can work for someone else? That's kind of the mindset. It's safer, it's more secure in their mind, etc. Yeah. So tell me, what is it that it takes to be an entrepreneur, a founder, a business owner? Because it does take a special person, I think. Or maybe just like me, I just had to do it. There was no other option at some point.
Yeah, so and I think, like a lot of sports as well, there's just certain traits that really help out. Stubbornness is one of those that I know people say that I've got, just to keep things going. There are many other traits we can go through. I've made some notes on some of the top ones I was thinking about. One of the ones I see a lot of people not realizing and not dealing with is just worrying about what other people think about particularly about what your plans are and what you're doing. So there's a really
I'm one of those. I'm definitely one of those.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's got this problem, but it's really a hard challenge to figure out what to do. Particularly in my situation, one of those challenges was with my wife at the time. She's now my ex-wife, which is part of how I dealt with with my particular problem. Now that's could be seen as a quite a dramatic way to deal with that particular problem, but it worked for me. It's something. I've also had the very similar problem with mentors. So I like having people around me that help me expand my mind. So I would actually hire a lot of mentors to come in. I have developed a very a different way of dealing with a lot of the information coming in. So it's basically I remember somebody say, read everything and make up your own mind. So that's just an easy filter I use. So I have a lot of mentors around that talk about different ways of doing stuff. It's up to me to take all that information in and then decide what I'm going to do with it. So it's another way of dealing with mentors. So I've had the problem in the past where in the past I was worried about what a mentor was going to think about my particular plan, and I'm sure they didn't care. But I was worried about it. I was like, is it too big? Am I aiming too high or whatever else? I was like, well, stop worrying about that and just get on with it. Yeah.
And I love your point here. I'm just going to say, Royce is like, I love rocketry, and Starlink Mini 21 launched an hour ago. So you're probably already on top of that. So we'll talk more about rocketry, because I'm also super excited, because it actually is a great conversation around how not to care about what other people think and going for it. Because I think what you're saying is, especially with me, maybe it's more with women. I don't know. Maybe it's men and women. But in terms of, we want to fit in. We want to belong. We want to be part of it. And so when people in our past or future or present tells us, oh, you can't do that, that's too hard, when I start believing what they're saying, when that actually stops me from going, for actually fully exploring who I could be in this life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Sorry. Yeah, go.
I was going to say, remember when I started on LinkedIn, and maybe other people realize this too, I actually was worried about what people I worked with or old bosses or anyone else was going to think of me on LinkedIn when I put myself out there, even though my material has nothing to do with them. I'm working with small business owners now, and that's who I'm talking to, and founders. But I was still worried a little bit, what are the people I know going to think of me? And it's like, with that, you can actually hold yourself in actually putting yourself out there and testing and trying things, making mistakes and learning and growing. Yeah. So over to you, because that requires a mindset. Louis, thank you for being here.
Yeah, so it's what I was about to say is I find people, if somebody said to me, you can't do that, if you stand back and look at it, what they're really saying is, I can't do that. So I can't see how you can do that. So if you look at their frame of reference, you'll see that they're actually looking at through their glasses, and they can't see a way for that to be able to happen. So that's where that word comes from. So you can. There was there's a very interesting tool, very simple tool that I learned from Jim Rohn. He talked about there's a lot of things in the world that you can't control, and he's gone, just don't worry about them. And he's gone, what you can say in those moments is the words, isn't that interesting? I think it's an important tool that I've used. So if there's just situation just not turning out the way I want because other people aren't doing what I want them to do, I just say, well, isn't that interesting? And then go off and find another way to get it done, or just find.
And that's such a great exercise, because it actually helps us again and again to separate who we are and what we believe our power is and what we can do versus what other people think about themselves, rather than getting confused by that. And it's great to get feedback on certain things sometimes, but also sometimes you just got to go, like you said, are they talking from their own perspective, or are they actually giving me any hints or tools that can help me evolve? So if they're helping build us, great, but if they're actually stopping us from going all the way. And I just want to say hi, Mike is here, Mike Aschenbrauner from the Hounds of Business community, amazing guy as well. He says you're amazing, and yes. So especially with your, I know your cybersecurity, and that's very important, but let's talk about your rocket building passion and your business space, Sunburnt Space, yeah?
That's correct, yeah.
And what you're doing there, because that takes a whole nother level of, I believe I can do something that most people be like, yeah, right, Elon, you're going to be the next Elon Musk, yeah, ha, 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 yeah, almost. I could imagine that response.
Oh, yes, I get that a fair bit. So this segues well into my second note, which was just think way bigger. There's a little term I learned, different versions of that along the way, but there was a mentor of mine here at Manly. He'd just tell everybody, just think way bigger than what you think. What that does is it gives you can't grow unless you can, unless there's space to grow, essentially. So by thinking way bigger, you're you're thinking of what steps. If I want $1 million, $1 million might feel like a lot of money, but you start thinking about what steps can I take. Oh, hang on, if I do this and this and this within the next 12 months, I could get to $500,000. That means I'm halfway. So these are the sort of things that start happening when you start thinking way bigger.
And I like that, because with your rocket business, you kind of need sponsorship. You need people to start funding you for you to build it, right? Because it's not like you can just go out and make money on it tomorrow.
Yes.
Unless you do it this way.
That was some of what. So I gave that structure just to understand what happened when I started Sunburnt Space. So leading up to it, I built my first rocket when I was about 17, mid-teens. Mid to late teens, launched it, fell in love with rocketry. I've built a lot of rockets since then, model rockets. Always wanted to build a big launch company for multiple reasons. And the timing was just right at the beginning, towards the beginning of last year, just to say, well, maybe now's the right time, and it was. So things are just falling into place now because I think I got the timing right, got my mindset right. So I have spent years doing that. So I built and sold a business over 8 years, and I had friends around me helping me do that. And and what I learnt over the last 20, 30 years, and skills I've learnt in throughout my career as well. All of that sort of coming together to be able to build this huge, what people see as this huge business. To me, they just look like you can imagine a Gantt chart for a project. I just see the steps I need to do to get there now. And
that's the money-wise as well, right? Like in terms of how can I get money in that will support it. So how do I sell something where you're not selling a product where they walk away with the rocket, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah. So all that started with thinking way bigger. So you've heard me talk about the Jupiter story. So a few years back, I heard Elon talking about within our lifetime, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to go and visit Jupiter. So my thoughts automatically went to, I'd love to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that. And then that has driven me in the last year, has been one of the points to drive me, or part of the dream to build this rocket company.
And I love that, because what you're saying, as well as hearing stubbornness, of course, is very important. Not buying into what other people think our limitations, because it's theirs, not ours. And dreaming big, being allowed to dream big, have a passion, and go, okay, I've got multiple skills from all different directions, but if I put them together, let's see what I can do.
Yes, so it doesn't cost anything to dream. Just go for a walk and have a think about, what do I really want? I mean, there's been other mentors that told me to design the life that I want, and actually did build it. And that's all part of dreaming big. And so if you really want to do this, probably leads into my third point of just do it. so get out there, dream big, think bigger. If you're finding you're struggling with that, maybe get yourself around some people who can help you think bigger. So go to some networking events and see what other people are achieving, and use that.
And take action too. You said take action as well. So dream big, but you also got to start acting on it. So once you start thinking about that, like I was talking about with the now I see the steps of the rocket business, that didn't start unless I was dreaming big. I was just like, I'd love to build rockets to send people to space. So how can I do that? And then I started breaking that down. So you just do it. You say, well, maybe the first step is this. So my first step, which probably ties into our training today as well, was to go around and door knock and see if I could sell some. So part of the offering is send your business to space as part of that sponsorship. And I was able to sell 10 of those, which was just your business card on the rocket, and it'll come back down again. And isn't that a great creative idea? Sometimes when we think about big ideas and action, go, okay, creatively, how can I get some money into? How can I sell it?
Exactly.
How can we get people interested?
That was just to test whether people would be interested or not, and they were. So that gave me the confidence to get to the next step and to start thinking bigger.
And why do you think people were interested in it? Because, we were talking, and just for anyone listening, I have a strategy on the Go community, and Brad is part of it. Thank you very much for being part of it. And today we're talking about opportunity scoping, and the whole conversation is around, when we talk to people, how do we engage them in conversation? Because it's, people say, yeah, that's well and good. You're a market researcher, you know how to do it. And it's uncomfortable, hitting people up, whether door to door or on LinkedIn, whatever, and asking for them to give some feedback and talk to them about what I do. Yeah.
Yes.
But when we have something to talk about that gets people excited, like a social object, yeah, it helps.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. And there's nothing more exciting. I can't believe how quickly I can get somebody's attention when they say, "What do you do?" And I say, "I'm building a rocket to go to space." We actually get two reactions, which is quite funny. Either instant attention, or they come back a minute later and go, "Are you serious? Are you really building a rocket to go to space?" Like it's so cool.
But it opens them up, yeah. So this having something, if we're a little bit shy, can we find something that allows us to more easily help people engage with us, something we can all talk about? Yeah, that's the social object part of marketing. And I think yours is just naturally, who doesn't want to talk about that? Even if it's not my thing, it's interesting enough to go, hold on, let me tell me more. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot harder in the cybersecurity business. Like I wouldn't be able to do that level in there. It's just
and Royce say, like SpaceX, fail fast. Yeah. What about failing fast? Because you're building rockets. How does it work in your world of building a rocket company to where you want to take it?
Yeah, cool. So we're so part of our overall mission and strategy is to not reinvent the wheel. So there's companies out there that have already built rockets, and obviously SpaceX is doing large amounts. Rocket Labs, others are establishing. Firefly is about to establish themselves as another. So we're sort of copying what they've done, and we're building it specifically for Australia. That's our unique point of difference, which also frees us up to reuse stuff. Sometimes you see startup businesses, they have to find a unique edge. So it needs to be this innovative approach where for us, we're not burdened with that. We can take what is already working, and we're just going to do it geographically for Australia.
That's exactly right. Learn from your competitors, learn from the other people, and rather than thinking, I won't look at my competitors, I've got nothing to do with them. I'm like, well, you can learn from them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we do. So we got. The first launch we're doing is essentially just up and over it's called the Kármán line. That's the start of space. So it's 100 kilometers up. So we're aiming to get to 150 kilometers. To get there, we're doing certain things, but we found open source designs that we can use that have sped things up that we're going to be doing. So I've just went yesterday to pick up the first of our test engines from our engineering company out in Blacktown that are building it for us. So we're just doing things pretty fast. And
that's so exciting.
Yeah. And the same with the marketing, and the same with the and the sales, for instance. So we're getting out there and starting to sell early, so we can see what sells and what doesn't sell, so that we can understand.
Which is another great way of testing, and trying things out and go, okay, let's try this. And like you said, you got a good response when you said, do you want to put your business card, your business to space? Yeah, that's easy. Well, it's an exciting sell, I think. But then since then, I know you thought about other ways of what can you actually add to the value that they're getting out of it. Obviously, they have to have some kind of excitement about it, but we want people who are excited about what we do to support us, Yes. And so how you thought about getting, because $1 million is still quite a bit of money to get in a year, So you got to think big here.
Yeah, if you're going back to thinking big, so to build the orbital rockets that we want to build is probably about $500 million. And I said billion there, just in case, just to be clear. So I don't have that cash. I need to raise it, which is what this approach is. I'm actually copying Peter Beck from Rocket Labs across the ditch in New Zealand. This is how he got going. So we're copying his approach there, where we'll just send a very simple rocket up and over. It's just where we're starting essentially. So.
And since I also know a little bit more about what you're doing, what I love is this whole idea: how do we get a community, the broader community in Australia, excited about it? Yeah.
Yes.
And if you don't mind, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but I know you're building a factory and an actual showroom now, yeah, because it allows everyday people to come in. My husband can't wait to come and see it, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and
Just
so it's
be a
that
part of
thing
it.
of building community and something exciting, getting the community excited about what you're doing as a local, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully out the front we'll have some big words saying we're going to space. People can peer through the window and see a mock-up of the rocket hanging up above the stage, and come to events and come for tours of the factory, see what we're up to,
Yeah.
see a lot of videos about us testing, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thinking outside the box is what I'm hearing. Yeah, trying to think out how can we, when we want to go big, there's no limitation to the mind. So there's a lot of mindset that goes on, but also how can we just, think creatively big, as well, and differently.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of effort. So ask any artist how long it takes to be able to draw something or paint something. It takes them a long time to get those creative skills.
Yeah.
So it does take time. But again, I guess going back to one of my earlier ones, which was earlier traits, which was stubbornness. It's just a matter of keep going until you got that muscle developed.
And I see that a lot in business. Like a lot of people we both met in networking, and it's like they try for 2 months, maybe 3 months, 4 months, and then like, oh, it's not working. I'm not getting what I want. Let's think of something else, and then they just quit, or they start doing something completely different, and then 4 or 5 months later they do something and another thing completely differently. And it's like it's that yes, we need to know if there's an opportunity. If there's no opportunity, you got to change, no doubt about it. So you do have to scope the opportunity, and that requires some research and finding out and trying and failing. But sometimes it's just that I think people don't have the stubbornness or the perseverance or to keep going, knowing that it's got to work. If you're getting good signs like I am with my community or my one-on-one offer, it's not there yet. But the fact that I am getting clients in, even if I would like more, suggests to me that there's something in it,
That's correct,
Especially when people are happy.
Yes. Yeah, definitely, yeah. And doing the right thing. So sitting there waiting for the phone to ring is probably not a good thing to do, where you could maybe go outside and walk up and down the street and talk to some people.
Yeah, you got to get active and not be shy about reaching out.
Yes. It is hard, particularly if you're a shy person. And it's particularly hard because if you don't do it yourself, you will need to get somebody else to do it, and that costs money. So if you don't have the money or you've either got to break out of that shyness and do it yourself, or get somebody else to do it for you.
And I think, whilst I would also someday love to have the money to do paid ads and get other people to help me more, definitely. I think there is something to be said when you're starting your own business, and there is something to be said in terms of learning some of the basics, including your marketing, your strategy, and the general parts of your business. So when you do hire other people in, you can actually, enough about it to teach them, or to at least when they come with ideas, you can give feedback because you've got experience yourself,
That's correct. Yeah. Yes. And just knowing how to sell your own product is a huge part of it.
Huge. Sales is huge. And one of the things I had a real barrier around, because I'm brought up to, we don't sell, we don't promote ourselves, heads down and stuff, and don't be the, troll puppy thing and whatever. Yeah. And how do we overcome sales hesitation? Because, you do it and you learn from your parents and from your businesses. What's your advice before we finish up and run? Getting out of your little comfort zone, and doing sales.
Yeah, that's around. I think you just got to get yourself some confidence. So it's small steps. I started. So one of the very early businesses we started with mum and dad, they got into Amway. I know a lot of people think Amway is a pyramid scheme or whatever else, and to a degree it is, but you can use it to learn a lot of skills. So we started small. We were just ringing up friends and family to sell some soap to them. It was like sort of stood back one day and gone, wow, that's how that works. So could I apply that to the bigger picture? And you also gain the confidence that you can do it. So
practice, just keep doing it again and again until you go, okay, I know. And the same for me when I started my communities, because I was going in with, I'm not going to have anything on the agenda. I'm just going to wait and see what people need, and then we're just going to talk about it. That was actually uncomfortable for me because, sometimes I like to have things so I can just share information with you rather than just step back and go, let me hear what your problem is, Brad or whoever, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, if you're shy, you can just walk around to say up and down your street, have a business card, and just say, "Hey, I'm new in the business. I just wanted to let you know I'm here. Can I give you my business card?" They're not going to reject it. So it'll just help build up that confidence to get that next level of asking. Asking for a sale is a whole different kettle of fish. Like, that's really hard, and it's so if you're just starting out, you got to build up to that point. But just start with something simple like just getting out and sharing your business card with your local people that are your neighbors. So, yeah.
Good advice, and something I have had to learn as myself as well. And I think to some extent, there's still a little bit of me, like, in terms of asking for the sale, which is like, it's hard. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, Yeah. You don't want to offend people, but at the same time, you're adding value to them. It's a value for them. And it's just that learning to trust that you're just sharing what you can actually offer them. You're sharing what your value is. And if they're interested, great. If not, it's okay to say no too. And that's when we have to deal with rejection, and not care about what other people think. So we're coming full circle, learning not to care about what other people think.
That's correct, yeah. And isn't that interesting? You didn't want to buy. Yeah. Oh, well. Next one.
And that's a really good way of going, oh, that's really interesting. But it's not about me personally. It's just interesting they had that response. Yeah.
Yes. I remember somebody said, this may be back to Amway days. I can't remember. I remember somebody saying, some will, some won't. So what? Like, it's just, It's just,
and to some extent, it's a number games. Yeah.
Yeah. The numbers game is part of it. So a number game is getting back to stubbornness, I think. It's just about, even if you got 5 no's, keep going. You will get a yes eventually.
Yeah. And I think also you learn to understand, as you're doing this yourself, you actually learn to understand who your ideal customers are versus who they're not, even if you thought they were. Yeah.
So my cybersecurity I started at the beginning last year was a general IT company I was trying to sell to my local area. By going out and door knocking, I was able to figure out they didn't want to buy what I was offering. So I found out pretty quick that that's not going to work. I'll try something else. So yeah.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you so much for being on here. We are out of time now. I really appreciate all your thoughts. I'm learning so much from you, and appreciate having you in my community and keep learning from you and with you. And so thank you so much for your time. And thank you for everyone who is here listening in today or later on the replay. So finish up. If you want to get in touch with Brad, here's the LinkedIn contact there. Is there any other way they can get hold of you?
They can LinkedIn's probably the easiest way. So just DM me on LinkedIn. I will start looking more at LinkedIn. I've been a bit busy painting the last few weeks. So yes.
Fair enough. You got a factory to build. You're busy, and I know you do lots of other things in your time as well, which I think is another little nugget in terms of what I learned from you is you said make sure you block out time for things you love doing, like you love windsurfing or sailing, etc.
Yeah, so we just had 5 days away for our windsurfer nationals. That was just blocked out in my calendar, and I couldn't do anything else at that time. So and I told
keeping
people,
that, because otherwise we can go down in business. Yeah.
I told people that I'm just not going to be available during that time. So
because with your own business, you can work full time, and you can work every 24 hours if you wanted to, and you can burn out yourself even if you love it. Yeah. So you got to make time for things that you enjoy. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Lewis said fascinating chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Royce and Mike as well, and whoever else is here. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I gotta learn how to turn it off. There we go.